The concept of this video is to go through the 3 different types of visual displays that you can use for central tendency, meaning for mean, median, and mode. So the 3 different graphs that we're going to look at are a histogram, we're going to look at a box and whisker, and a dot plot. So taking a look at the histogram right now, you can see here, this is kind of what it looks like. So just some information about it. So one thing you can see is that the x-axis is always set up as ranges. So each bar doesn't represent a category or a thing. It represents a set of data. So in this case, whoever put this together decided to go by tens. So each section represents, however many things there were in that data range from 0 to 10. So in this case, when you look up at this bar, this is approximately 50. So there are about 50 cases that were in between 0 to 10. In the 11 to 21, and this is in thousands, there were 300, right? Because it's going up to this 300 mark. In this one, it looks like it could be 250, right? 400, hopefully you're seeing how this works. 550, maybe 430, 270, maybe. 350, and then the last one is 100. So you can see that there are 300 people that make between this amount of money, 250 people making between 22 and 32,000, etc. So that's what this histogram is all about, is showing that data. So you'll see the x-axis is always by ranges. It could be 2s, 5s, 10s, 20s, doesn't really matter. It's whoever making its choice. The y-axis is always terms of frequency, so the number of people or the number of whatever you're looking at. And then the last thing is that the bars always touch. I know that's a weird thing, but it's a key component of a histogram that the bars are touching, okay? In terms of what can you do with this, right? When you see a histogram, what can you do with it? Well, you could figure out how many people were actually tallied. I mean, if I look at this data right here, if I add up all these numbers, 50, 300, 250, 400, 550, 430, 270, 350, and 100, I'm going to get how many people that they looked at, right? So in this case, when I add all of these frequencies up, that would tell me how many my total here, right? And I'm not going to add those up right now, but that's how that would work. Okay. You also could figure out the median range. So if you think about this, well, there are 50 people here, right? And 50 on this side would get me to here. So this part's gone, right? And then if I do this 300 bar, so if I want to cross off this bar, I have to do 300. Well, there's 50 here, and then this was 350, so it looks like I'm to here. Okay, so I've crossed off this much. And then if I want to do another 250, well, that bar would go, this is 100, I need 150 here, so that's about right here. Now I have to go 400 to cross off this bar. So this is like 120, I'm going 400. So I'm getting somewhere in here. It looks like I'm gonna end right here, right? So you see how I'm kind of eliminating as I go? So that would mean that the median range in this case would be from 44,000 to 54,000. That would be the median range. And again, I did it by working my way towards the middle. Okay, working my way towards the middle. Another thing you can absolutely do is you could calculate the range of the modes, right? And that one, I mean, is clear just by the bar size, right? So just by the size of the bar, I can see that the range is from 44,000 to 54,000, right? So that's my mode range. Now the average takes a little bit more work, especially with this example that I gave because there's so many, but you absolutely could find the average by doing it like a weighted mean question. So the first thing you'd have to do is you'd have to pick a number in between all of these. So I would pick 5. Between 11 and 21, I would probably pick 15, right? 22 and 32, I would pick 27. 30, does that make sense? So you're picking these So let's pick a number kind of in between here, 44 and 54. Let's pick 48. And the next one, let's pick 59. This one, let's pick 70. 70 even. That's good. This one, I'm going to pick 81. And then it says 88 plus, so I'm going to pick like 95. So once you have like a number that you're going to pick that represents the middle of that, right? Remember with weighted average, we would do like the score or the amount times how many. So in this case, this first bar we said had 50. Oops, sorry. Yeah, that's right. Plus, this next one we're doing 15 times, this bar goes to 300. Plus 27 times maybe 250 plus 37 times 400, okay, et cetera, right? So we'd keep doing this. 48 times 550 was that one. I'm gonna run out of room. Plus, let's see here, 59 times 450. I kind of forget my approximations here, forgive me. 70 times 270 plus 81 times 350 plus 95 times 100. And then remember that you have to divide that by 50 plus 300 plus 250 plus 400 plus 550, 450. You have to add all those together. I promise the examples I give you aren't as big. I don't know why I picked this now that I look at it. But this would give you an idea of a mean, okay? So then we go into box and whisker. So on box and whisker, you can look at your, you're giving kind of different things. So this would be obviously your box, and these are your whiskers here and here, right? So the things that you know about this, or the things that I should tell you, is that this is in fourths, okay? So this first section is representative of 1/4 of the data. This is another fourth, and the last fourth. Okay, so, and if you're like, ugh, fourths, a lot of times you can say it as in 25%. Okay, so each section represents 25% of the data. All right, along with that, along with those 25%, each of these lines has a meaning as well. This first one is known as the minimum. This is known as the lower quartile, the median, upper quartile, and the maximum. I should say that the lower quartile is the median of the lower half of data, okay? And the upper quartile is the median of the upper half of data. And then you can see between the lower quartile and the upper quartile that they are boxed. Information gathered, well, you absolutely get the median. 100% you can get the median. It's seen. It's the middle of the box. That's always the median. You can see the max and min value, right? That's from end to end. And then you can see like how much variation there is. Like what percentage of the data is, below 560? Well, that's 25, that's 75%, right? What percentage of the data scored between 400 and 500 on their SAT? 400 to 500 is here. That's one section. It's 25%. So you can kind of answer questions in terms of variation there. The last one is a dot plot. And a dot plot looks kind of similar to a histogram, but it's not based on ranges. So you can see that it's always set up with a number line, okay, and there's always dots to represent it, and there's no y-axis. Essentially, the dots represent the frequency here. What information can you get? Well, you can absolutely see how much data there were, right? In this case, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. They surveyed 16, or they looked at 16 cars, okay? You can absolutely calculate the median. You can just kind of tally them off here, right? And kind of do process of elimination and say, oh, the median is going to be at 31. All right. The mode is easy to see. Oh, I can't believe I said that, but better to see as well, just based on the bar. The mode is 31 that has the most amount of dots. The mean, again, you could calculate, just list out the numbers. I had a 16, 23, 24, etc. You can list all these data points, divide by 16, and then calculate your mean that way. And the range you can also see. You can see that it goes from 16 to 40, right? So you can kind of see the extreme of the data. So these are your three data visual displays, right? A dot plot, a box and whisker, and a histogram. And in all of these, you're going to have to be able to understand what you're looking at and what information you're given when you see each one, okay? If you have any questions, you can always reach out.